Chapter 21. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not only that, Naruto also got a few other ninjutsu from the other two ninjas who were monitoring him, but those two Umbu didn't know many ninjutsu either, so they should be civilian ninjas. One was a fire-attributed ninja, and the other was a thunder and water-attributed ninja. Naruto got fire style, flame whirlwind from the fire-attributed ninja, which is a B-level ninjutsu that can form a whirlwind of flames. The other one is fire style, dragon fire technique, which is a C-level ninjutsu. The caster can spray out a straight line of flames, and then it's gone. He knows a little bit of physical skills, but it has no effect on Naruto. I don't know if it's because of the time travel, but Naruto's current chakra attributes are wind, thunder, water, fire, and earth. The other ninja with both thunder and water attributes is very lucky. Thunder style combined with water style is extremely powerful. This ninja codenamed Black Tiger became a special jonin by relying on the thunder and water combination ninjutsu. As for Maple Leaf, he is an elite ninja at the level of Chunin. That lightning style ninja knows a few ninjutsu, including lightning style, ground walk, lightning style, thunder ranbu, and a few water style, water tornado. His famous ninjutsu is the combination of lightning style, thunder ranbu and water tornado. Lightning style, thunder ranbu can be combined with water style, water tornado to form a thunderstorm water hurricane dance. The next night, Naruto sat with Sasuke and Rock Lee to celebrate Sasuke becoming the top student of this class. The three of them squatted in front of the fire and were grilling meat, but Sasuke was obviously a little unhappy. After being with Naruto for a long time, his horizons have broadened a lot. He no longer compares himself with the group of students in the ninja school. In Naruto's words, if you compare yourself with them, then becoming a few senior ninjas in the future will be your limit. You are still a long way from becoming a truly strong person. Throughout history, famous ninjas have emerged at a very young age. Naruto cited many people's deeds. Sasuke and Rock Lee were shocked, from the first generation of Hokage, the second generation, the three ninjas, the fourth generation, a certain white-haired man with kidney deficiency, and even Uchiha Itachi. This instantly poured a basin of cold water on the two who were a little inflated, but Naruto asked Sasuke to keep it secret. Although some information can be found in the library, there are some contents that Naruto cannot know now. The two also knew that Naruto had many secrets, but they didn't ask. One day Naruto would tell them. Sasuke, it feels so good to be the chief student, Shaoli said with a smile. Humph. If this guy hadn't hidden his strength, how could I have become the chief student? Sasuke snorted coldly and turned his head to the side. Shaoli. How about you? How was your performance? Naruto smiled and handed the barbecue to the two of them. Woohoo. Delicious. Shaoli took the food handed over by Naruto, and then ate it with big mouthfuls, and then said, as for me, I am probably in the middle of the class. What? You are only at the middle level, Sasuke exclaimed in surprise. You know, Lee can fight him to a draw. Even in close combat, Lee can suppress Sasuke with his physical skills, so that Sasuke can't even use ninjutsu. Lee's talent and physical skills is still good, not just relying on hard work. If hard work can be considered a genius, then Lee is a hardworking genius. With the help of Naruto, Lee can indeed be called a genius in physical skills. Naruto said that you should hide your strength. As a ninja, you should hide your true strength so that others cannot obtain your information. You should be able to make the final decision at the critical moment, and you must have multiple trump cards. This is the guarantee for your survival. Maybe because he has been with Naruto for a long time, Shaoli has also learned some of Naruto's strange ideas. For example, never let the enemy know how many trump cards you have. Shaoli's combat power is usually less than a quarter of his own. All his strength is one trump card, but it is only in ordinary state. Shaoli who uses the power technique is another trump card. At this time, Shaoli can match the level of Hyuga Niji. Shaoli's strongest state is Shaoli who uses the 6 styles, which is his triple trump card, but in his opinion it is not enough, because Naruto may be hiding more. Sasuke was a little shocked, and couldn't help but start thinking. It doesn't seem excessive for a ninja to hide his strength and have several trump cards, this can't help but make he ponder deeply, his eyes flickering, and he decided that in the days to come, he would also hide his strength. After eating and drinking, the few of them started their daily training again. Soon Sasuke returned home early, and then the two of them began to go home one after another. Naruto walked on the road, shuttling back and forth quickly, and soon returned home. He opened the door with the key, threw his coat on the bed, and then slowly walked into the bathroom door. Soon after Naruto finished washing up, he lay on the bed. He was not calm at the moment, because he was already 7 years old this year. In another year, it would be the day when the Uchiha family would be destroyed. He didn't know what impact this would have on Sasuke. With his current strength, he was afraid that he could not do anything. Forget it. Don't think about it anymore, things will work out when the time comes. Naruto quickly closed his eyes and fell asleep. Little devil. Come here. Naruto suddenly heard a voice, which made him alert instantly. He observed the scene around him and was a little surprised. It was as dark as an underground cell. It was like a sewer, which made Naruto a little familiar. Looking up, it was a huge face. Who was it? Seeing this, how could Naruto not know that he had come to the space where the Ninetales was? Little brat. Let me out, I can give you power. I have seen your performance in the past few years. Let me go, and you will have invincible power in the world. The Ninetales' slightly bewitching voice came. Naruto frowned and looked at everything around him. This dark place made him a little unhappy. This was his spiritual space, and he was the master. Naruto began to mobilize the huge spiritual power in his body. As the spiritual power passed, the surroundings began to change. The blood-red underground dark prison began to become different. The only thing that did not change was the cage holding the Ninetales. This brat? Kyuubi was a little shocked. This brat actually had such a strong mental power and control ability. This brat made him feel strange, which was why he didn't pull Naruto into the mental space before. Kuruma, don't waste your energy. If you could give me invincible power, you wouldn't be trapped in my body. Naruto said slowly. His tone was very calm, and there was no surprise at all. Kyuubi was instantly shocked. He was not shocked by Naruto's words, but by Naruto's shout of Kuruma. Ding dang. Kyuubi's claws hit the iron fence that trapped him, making a loud noise. Little devil. How do you know my name? Joe was extremely surprised at this moment, and was also very confused. He could say that this little devil grew up under his watch. Although he had many evildoers and some strange things about him, how did he know my name? Answer me. The nine-tailed fox hit the iron fence again, making a clanging sound. The nine-tailed fox's face became even more ferocious. Chapter 22. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I have foreseen everything, Kurama. Naruto's sky-blue eyes revealed a gleam of wisdom. His white and red coat resembled the divine robe of the fourth Hokage, but the style was different. The divine robe was not only worn by the Hokage, but the divine robe used exclusively by the Hokage had special stripes on it. Naruto stood calmly in front of the Ninetales. Even the Ninetales was shocked by Naruto's calm and deep gaze. Could it be that Naruto had some trump card? Little brat. What do you know? What the Ninetales didn't know was that Naruto was actually panicking, but he had to control his momentum, otherwise it would be difficult to negotiate. Seeing the Ninetales' obviously suppressed arrogance, Naruto knew that the Ninetales had started to make up his mind, and at this moment, Naruto knew that he had taken the initiative. Naruto did not answer the Ninetales' words. Instead, he changed the subject and talked about another thing. Kuroma, what do you think of this ninja world? The man and the fox stared at each other's eyes, and the atmosphere became tense for a while. Without waiting for the Ninetales to speak, Naruto started talking to himself. This ninja world is in chaos, the ninja nobles are high above, and they are constantly fighting each other for their own interests. There are conspiracies everywhere, and this world is twisted and perverted. Naruto became excited in an instant. Young children are sent to the battlefield, and civilians have no power to resist. They are all poisoned by the war between ninjas. There are also some people who capture the tailed beasts in the name of peace, and they say it is for peace. In fact, it has nothing to do with the tailed beasts, and the tailed beasts have never harmed civilians. When Naruto said this, the Ninetales couldn't hold it anymore, and slammed its 2 claws heavily on the fence, making a loud noise. This sentence really touched the heart of the Ninetales. He was just resting when he met 2 powerful ninjas. His sleep was disturbed, and he was not allowed to resist as a person, no, beast. In the end, he was caught by a weirdo, who said in a beautiful name that the Ninetales' power is too strong and he must be sealed. The Ninetales mentality was simply blown away. After witnessing the powerful power of the tailed beasts, other villages also fought against the power of the tailed beasts. In the end, Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama captured all the other tailed beasts. The reason why Naruto said this was actually to gain the favor of the Ninetales. The Ninetales did have a little affection for him as Naruto expected. The order of this world is in chaos. Ninjas do not produce anything. The nobles rule the world. The common people are the victims of this world. The tailed beasts have also become tools of some conspirators. Naruto was still talking about this sick world in his eyes. Kyuubi's expression gradually changed, and his claws slammed heavily on the fence. Enough. Little brat. Who are you? After Naruto's words, the Ninetales no longer regarded Naruto as a little brat who could be fooled at will. I was born with destiny, I am who I am, Uzumaki Naruto. I want to change the world. Kurama. Naruto took another step forward, looking at the Ninetales with sharp eyes. Without any fear, he really wanted to change the world. He was given the ability of God rewards hard work. Maybe he was destined to do something. Whether it is destruction or rebirth. The Ninetales was stunned. At this moment, his thoughts drifted far away. He recalled when he was a little fox, a kind old man gently stroked his hair, and said, Kurama, my time is running out. One day, you will be in a completely different way, with your own names, different from in my body. You will get the right guidance. What is the real power? Kurama. Strength is not for fighting, but for making the world a better place. Naruto woke up the Ninetales with a roar. At this moment, he recalled what the old man's 6 paths said, which deeply shocked him. At this moment, Naruto's small figure seemed to overlap with the old man's 6 paths, and the Ninetales murmured, could he be the person the old man's 6 paths was talking about? Lama, you watched me grow up. Why do I know these things? You may be very surprised, we are all blessed by fate. Since I was a child, I have had many pictures in my mind, and there are other pictures. These pictures tell me that this world is sick and I have foreseen the future. In the future war, I succeeded, or maybe I failed, because I didn't make much change in the ninja world. The world is still the same as before. The lives of civilians may be much better, but this is definitely not the credit of the ninja, Naruto said slowly. He did not explain his origins, because it was too shocking. This world was created by the author, which was too absurd. Naruto knew that if he wanted to succeed and change the world, he had to get the support of the Ninetales. Kurama. We are partners, aren't we? We are one now. Naruto's words instantly made the Ninetales' body tremble slightly. Does he regard me as a partner? Shut up, kid. We're not partners. Go out, I'm tired. Kyuubi lay down again and pretended to close his eyes. Naruto wanted to say something, but the next moment, Naruto was sent out of the spiritual space. Watching Naruto being sent out of the spiritual space, Kyuubi slowly opened his eyes and murmured, this little ghost. Is he from the future? Or is it a prophecy? Although he couldn't calm down for a long time, the nine-tailed fox was not so easily moved. Naruto suddenly opened his eyes, his expression was a little helpless. Except for not introducing that he was from Earth, he basically didn't hide anything in what he said, and he didn't have any ill will towards the nine-tailed fox. Naruto knew that the nine-tailed fox had the ability to sense goodwill. He could easily know whether you had any ill will towards him, and if you wanted to gain the power of the nine-tailed fox, you had to be open with the nine-tailed fox. Naruto also knew that it would take more than a day to influence the nine-tailed fox, and the nine-tailed fox should have been touched by him. At this moment, Naruto thought of Orochimaru, who was even more powerful than his own mouth-to-mouth, and could make his subordinates loyal. Although the previous words were a bit of a bluff, they were actually Naruto's inner thoughts. This world cannot achieve peace by fighting, and it must be solved from the root. Solve it from the perspective of ideology and social structure. The war in this world is essentially caused by the imbalance of resources. Realizing the rational allocation of resources is the correct way to reduce wars, but who will easily give up their own resources and damage their own interests? The peace of Senju Hashirama is too superficial, and so is Uzumaki Nagato. In essence, they are all using combat power to threaten the world, so that the world dare not have wars again. This is the case with distributing the tailed beasts, and the same is true for collecting the tailed beasts to form the 10 tails. They are all threats of combat power, but when the combat power disappears, what should be done? Never underestimate a person's desire. Chapter 23. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Since he had been to the spiritual space once, Naruto could freely enter and exit the spiritual space where the Nine Tails was imprisoned with his huge spiritual power. During this period, Naruto kept fooling the Nine Tails in his thoughts. Oh no, how can this be called fooling? This should be called winning over comrades, so-called like-minded partners. During this period, Naruto also successfully transformed the Nine Tails living space. It was no longer a dark underground sewer, but looked sunny. However, it just couldn't get rid of the iron fence of the sealed space. However, Naruto still had a way. For example, Naruto used his huge spiritual power to successfully expand the iron cage where the Nine Tails was imprisoned many times. This made the Nine Tails activity space much larger. Although he had never made the Nine Tails return to his heart, the relationship between the two had also eased a lot. Naruto knew that it was difficult to build feelings for some things without experiencing them together. The relationship with the Nine Tails needed to be developed slowly. At least now, Naruto and the Nine Tails have reached an agreement to regularly replace the Nine Tails living pictures. This is simple, just like changing a theme. The benefit Naruto gained was that the Nine Tails no longer interfered with Naruto's chakra, which instantly increased Naruto's chakra by a large amount. Because Naruto usually had to divide a part of his chakra to prevent the Nine Tails from attacking, now that there was no Nine Tails' interference, the amount of chakra increased a lot. Naruto's control over chakra also increased a lot. Naruto tested that the power of his ninjutsu increased by 30%. Time is still passing slowly. After a vacation that was neither too long nor too short, Naruto was already a sophomore student, and Lee was now a third-year student. On this day, Lee happily ran to Naruto and said, "Naruto, Teacher Kai accepted me as his disciple." Naruto was also very happy to see Lee happy. As for Might Guy, the 8 gates of ninja in his hand was still good, but Naruto did not intend to go the path of pure physical skills. He was not like other time travelers who had to plan the 8 gates of ninja. He also knew that there was a reason why this technique was not popularized. Might Guy kicked the 7 ninja swordsmen to pieces, and the case was there, but the 8 gates of ninja was basically practiced by Might Guy alone, and the result was imaginable. Naruto's final idea was to combine the power of immortal arts to create an immortal version of ninjutsu. This was prepared to fight against the Otsutsuki clan. Because in front of the Otsutsuki clan, ninjutsu basically did not work. In the later period, almost everyone in the Otsutsuki clan had a pair of samsara eyes, and the samsara eyes could absorb the chakra contained in the ninjutsu. Without the chakra, the ninjutsu basically disappeared. This is why the frequency of ninjutsu used in Boruto is so low. Shaoli, Might Guy is a very good teacher. I think he is very suitable for you. Well, it should be suitable for you. Naruto was not worried that Shaoli could not adapt to Might Guy's rhythm, because the two of them were simply cast in the same mold. Sasuke was a little silent at this time, holding his hands and wondering what he was thinking. It seems that the Uchiha family is in a recent situation. When that time comes, let's see if we can help Sasuke save some Uchiha civilians, which can be regarded as continuing the bloodline of the Uchiha clan. Otherwise, according to Sasuke's current personality, he may not even find a girlfriend. If it weren't for Sakura's final insistence, the Uchiha bloodline might be cut off. Uchiha Back Mountain River, Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi are talking. Brother Shisui. The tribe members are too ignorant now. They have already started to openly declare rebellion at the gathering, Itachi said worriedly, while also showing disdain for some of the tribe members. Itachi. You are the most talented person I have ever met. Uchiha needs guidance. Those people do not represent all Uchiha people. Our existence is the bridge between Uchiha and the village. I believe that as long as we work hard, we can find a way for the family and the village to coexist. You can also imagine Sasuke living happily in the village, right? Shisui said with a smile. The young man in front of him had too much on his shoulders. If the final situation was too bad, he could only rely on Koto Amatsukami. Shisui slowly touched his eyes. Uchiha Itachi saw it and said, Brother Shisui, do you want to use Koto Amatsukami? Itachi, it's not that step yet. If I really can't stop the family, I will ask Lord Hokage and Lord Danzo to use the power of Koto Amatsukami. Uchiha Shisui said slowly. Brother Shisui. Some people are really too ignorant, don't they know that doing this will get Konoha into bigger trouble? At that time, a war will break out and affect the peace of Konoha. Uchiha Itachi said coldly, with a fierce light in his eyes. Itachi has now been influenced by the third generation, but Itachi was only affected by the will of the third generation. All of this was instilled by the third generation. Shisui did not notice Itachi's abnormality, and said comfortingly, maybe some people in the clan are ignorant, but this is what we have to work hard for. Everyone has an imperfect side, but most people in the family are still very good. There are many Uchiha ninjas, but there are more ordinary Uchiha people. They are not affected by the opening of the Sharingan. They are warm, generous, and kind, and are no different from ordinary villagers in Konoha. Just like Izumi and Sasuke, aren't they the ones we protect? Uchiha Shisui tried to use the existence of some people to prove that they were worthy of being protected. Shisui knew that Izumi and Sasuke were the most important people to him. Thinking of Sasuke, Itachi's face clearly showed a smile. Shisui was also very happy to see Itachi's smile, but he ignored the extent of brainwashing of Itachi by the third generation. In fact, Itachi was influenced by the third generation when he was very young. When the third generation commented that Itachi had the thinking of a Hokage, Itachi was only a few years old at that time. It was simply a flattery. Later, Itachi was sent to the Umbu when he was very young, and was inadvertently influenced by the third generation again. In the end, his entire thinking was influenced by the third generation. All methods are based on the direction of the village. This is the calculation of the shrewd third generation, even treating Naruto in this way, but Naruto's thoughts have long been fixed and it is difficult to be influenced by the third generation. This technique of controlling people is also the reason why the third generation thinks he has the upper hand over Danzo. Danzo will never know the power of human hearts. Danzo uses the power of cursed seals to ensure the loyalty of his subordinates, while he uses the power of human hearts. In the few years since he became Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen has mastered this set to perfection. Only a few people know about the undercurrents in the village, and at this moment Naruto is happily experimenting with his new ninjutsu. He really liked the Earth-style ninjutsu, Earth Submarine, and with the help of God's reward for hard work, Naruto's transformation of the ninjutsu went very smoothly. He could use God's reward for hard work's ability to constantly modify the proficiency of the ninjutsu. After Naruto had some understanding of Earth style, the progress improved linearly, and finally formed this one that Naruto was satisfied with. Earth style ninjutsu, nuclear submarine. The original Earth style ninjutsu, Earth submarine, used chakra to change the properties of the soil and move freely through the mud. In the original work, Naruto had drilled through the ground during the Chunin exam, but Naruto's understanding of Earth-style ninjutsu was too shallow, and the traces left were also very large. Naruto can now be regarded as a standard Earth Escape ninja. Earth Escape nuclear submarine, as the name implies, is to form an Earth Escape creation similar to a submarine, and finally lie in a nuclear submarine to freely shuttle underground. Of course, due to Naruto's transformation, this ninjutsu did not improve the level of ninjutsu, because although his speed has increased, the amount of chakra consumed has increased several times. This ninjutsu barely exceeds the scope of sea level, but it has no effect on actual combat, and it consumes a lot of chakra, but does Chakra put pressure on Naruto? Do you really think Katanla is joking? Chapter 24. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hokage Office, Konoha F4 is discussing the relationship between Uchiha and the village. Hiruzen. Uchiha problems must be solved quickly. Have you forgotten what your teacher taught you? Uchiha cannot be trusted, Danzo said loudly. He was wrapped in bandages all over his body. His other eye was also tightly wrapped in bandages. He exuded a gloomy aura. However, the 3 generations had already gotten used to Danzo's appearance. Danzo, don't be so intense, Uchiha is also a member of the village. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of cigarette, exhaled thick smoke, and said slowly. Udatane Koharu on the side walked up and said slowly, Danzo, the third Hokage has a lot to take into account, and the Uchiha issue still needs long-term consideration. Xiaochun, you can't say that. Danzo is also for the peace of Konoha, and Uchiha is a factor of instability. Seeing that Mightyman N rarely supported him, Danzo's ugly face suddenly became much better. Hiruzen, I am the root of Konoha. Let me deal with these restless Uchiha guys. For the peace of the village, necessary measures are indispensable. Danzo continued to argue with reason, his voice dull. Danzo, please restrain yourself. Do you really think I don't know about your connection with Orochimaru? We can discuss the issue of the Uchiha clan later. Shisui and Itachi are already trying their best, and the Uchiha are also members of the village. The Sandai still looked like a good old man. Danzo slammed the door and left in dissatisfaction. He turned around and looked at the Sandai and said, Hiruzen, you will regret it. Danzo. I am the Hokage. The third Hokage said this lightly, and Danzo's inner anger and dissatisfaction rose again. Returning to the root, Danzo continued to vent his inner anger. The root ninja on the side saw Danzo's look and couldn't help but stepped forward to ask, Danzo-sama, what happened? Huh? Danzo glared at him with dissatisfied eyes, full of murderous intent, which instantly scared the inquiring root ninja. He felt cold all over, and the next moment Danzo's murderous intent instantly restrained. Call Uchiha Shisui, the root ninja swallowed and said tremblingly, yes. Then he retreated in a hurry. He was a newcomer. He had heard that Lord Danzo was a very strange person. Now it seems that he is really too young and does not believe the words of his predecessors. When there was no one around, Danzo continued to vent his inner dissatisfaction. Sarutobi, you old man, you are a whore and you still pretend to be a saint. Don't you just want me to take the blame? Humph. As long as I can get the power of the Mangekyo, I will become Hokage sooner or later. Don't be so proud for too long, Hiruzen. Danzo's red eyes slowly calmed down, and only Danzo's figure was left in the dark basement. He already knew that Uchiha Shisui had awakened the power of the Mangekyo. This is the power of that man. It is known as the power of God. He knows how powerful that power is. Danzo's dark voice came out softly from the darkness. Shisui, don't blame me, blame yourself for awakening this cursed power. Mirror. Your grandson will be here to accompany you soon. Danzo's figure slowly disappeared into the darkness. Uchiha Shisui. Lord Danzo wants to see you. A masked man appeared. He was a root ninja. He found Uchiha Shisui on the training ground. Danzo-sama. I know. Shisui stopped training and prepared to follow the root ninja to the root base. The two of them shuttled through the woods and finally came to a tree. They tapped it a few times in a regular manner, and suddenly a row of stairs appeared on the ground. The two walked down with ease, and it turned out to be a root base. After walking for a few minutes, the root ninja next to Shisui disappeared. After Shisui opened the door, he saw Danzo standing in front of him and hurriedly knelt on one knee. Lord Danzo. Shisui. How is the Uchiha situation recently? Danzo asked softly, with a hint of urgency in his tone. Shisui did not notice Danzo's abnormality. Sorry, Master Danzo, the Uchiha are now divided into two factions. One group suggests using force to seize power, while the other group is in favor of negotiating with the village. Just give me a little more time, and I believe the problem can be solved. Uchiha Shirsui's three Magatama eyes spun rapidly, and finally the three Magatama merged together to form a four-cornered dart shape. This is the Mangekyo Sharingan. Master Danzo. If things get really bad, please allow me to use the most powerful illusion, Koto Amatsukami. I will use Koto Amatsukami to control Patriarch Fugaku and put an end to the rebellion. Uchiha will always be the village's Uchiha. Uchiha Shisui said in a deep voice, his tone full of determination and pleading. Shisui. I believe you. But, you better hand over your eyes. Danzo slowly approached Shisui. Shisui didn't expect that Danzo would attack him directly. Shisui was shocked instantly, but Danzo really underestimated Shisui's strength. Shisui still maintained the power of the Mangekyo and directly fixed Danzo with an illusion. I'm sorry, Master Danzo, Uchiha will not be a threat to the village. Although Shisui was shocked by Danzo's behavior, his blind loyalty made him have no hatred towards Danzo. Ah! Suddenly, Shisui covered his eyes. One of his eyes had been dug out by Danzo. Shisui. Don't blame me. Blame Uchiha. I'm worried about you. Even if you stop this rebellion, there's no guarantee that Uchiha won't rebel next time. Your vision is still too narrow. I'll save your eyes. Shisui covered his eyes in pain. Root ninjas began to appear around Danzo. All of them were Jonin and elite Jonin. Shisui was very shocked. He couldn't imagine how Danzo escaped from his illusion. This was an illusion blessed by the Mangekyo. But right now, the most important thing is to escape. Wind Style, Vacuum Big Ball. The powerful Wind Style ninjutsu was released from Danzo's hands. Danzo's Wind Style ninjutsu attainments were very high. He could be said to be the strongest Wind Style ninja. Wind Style, Vacuum Wave. Continuous Wind Style ninjutsu was released from Danzo's hands, and Uchiha Shirsui's figure gradually turned into dozens of phantoms. This was Uchiha Shirsui's famous ninjutsu, and it was also the origin of his instant body Shirsui. He instantly turned into dozens of phantoms, and his real body changed between the phantoms. Very difficult. Wind Style, Thousand Faces of Wind. Danzo released hundreds of small wind blades to hit Uchiha Shirsui. Hitting Shirsui's clone, Danzo was very experienced and figured out a way in the blink of an eye to use the tiny wind blades to compress Shirsui's space. Other root ninjas also launched attacks, but in front of Shirsui, root ninjas were constantly killed. Shirsui's ability to instantly move was simply too terrifying. A root ninja's sword slashed across Shirsui, but it turned out to be a phantom. However, when the phantom slashed at him, it actually directly cut his shoulder. If he hadn't instinctively moved back 2 centimeters, his entire shoulder might have been chopped off. Be careful of his instant body, that he shouted hurriedly. Danzo couldn't help but look ugly when he saw that so many people couldn't take down Shirsui's one eye. Danzo put one hand on top of the other hand and pulled hard. The bandage tied on the hand was actually torn off. 3 scarlet Sharingan were revealed. There was also a mark on it that it had been closed. This moment made Shirsui understand. Danzo's most fundamental purpose was to seize the blood limit of their Uchiha family. He also understood why Danzo could break his own Mangekyo illusion before. Izanagi. Chapter 25. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How do you know the forbidden technique of our Uchiha clan? Uchiha Shirsui questioned. This is a forbidden technique that only the elite Jonin of the Uchiha clan can master, and there are only a few elite Jonin of the Uchiha clan. There is no doubt that Danzo's Izanagi's forbidden technique must have been stolen. This also made Shirsui understand that Danzo has been planning for the Uchiha clan for a long time. It's not like what Danzo said before, everything is for the peace of Konoha. Shirsui. It's over now. Don't struggle anymore. Wind Style, Vacuum Wave. Dozens of Wind Style whirlwinds hit Shirsui. Shisui used his instant body illusion again and launched the ninjutsu Thunder Dance. Wind style restrains thunder style. Shisui took the opportunity to break out of the encirclement of the root ninja and ran outside. When passing by a forest, Shisui inadvertently left a secret code. Chase. Don't let him run away, Danzo said in a deep voice, Shisui must be kept here. The ninjas around Danzo turned into black shadows and chased after Shisui. When Uchiha Shisui was fighting the root, Naruto suddenly opened his eyes. He used Kagura's mind's eye to sense that a large group of people were fighting. This dark chakra. Is it the root? Did Shisui lose his eyes? Naruto created a shadow clone and stayed there. The real body used earth escape technique and submerged into the soil, and kept rushing towards the direction where the battle broke out. In a small forest, Shisui was finally caught up. Shisui. You can't leave today, Danzo said coldly. The Sharingan on his arm was particularly eye-catching. Danzo. Does the third Hokage know about this? I won't let you succeed, you conspirator. Shisui looked at Danzo and said, every Sharingan on Danzo's arm represents the life of his family members. They did not die on the battlefield, but died at the hands of their own people in the village. How ironic. Feeling the remaining chakra in his body, Shisui's heart sank. Danzo was a Kage-level warrior, and there were many Jonin around him. It seemed that he would be unable to escape this time. The remaining Sharingan must not fall into Danzo's hands. Suddenly, a powerful force rose from Shisui's body, and a green skeleton formed by chakra appeared in front of everyone. This is the exclusive ability of the Mangekyo, Susanoo. Danzo's heart sank, and he said, come on, all of you, he doesn't have much chakra left. After listening to Danzo's words, the remaining root ninjas calmed down a lot. They began to attack Shisui, but many people were still killed in front of Susanoo. Shisui's Susanoo has the ability to attack from a distance. Yashikani no Magatama. Continuously shooting out green attacks, every time being touched, either dead or injured, this instantly made the root ninja retreat, but there are still some who have been trained by Danzo to kill weapons, without the slightest fear, and are still consuming Shisui's chakra. The first stage of Susanoo cannot protect the whole body perfectly. Thinking of the belief in his heart, Shisui's remaining eye began to shed tears of blood. Susanoo suddenly began to change, becoming taller, and flesh and blood began to appear, and it actually reached the third stage of Susanoo in one fell swoop. The evolved Susanoo is even more terrifying, which makes Danzo unable to help but activate the power of his Izanagi to exchange injuries with Shisui. But in front of the third stage of Susanoo, Danzo was a little restrained. Fruit fly. Danzo yelled, and then launched the wind ninjutsu again. The other ninjas also began to attack Shisui. At this time, a root ninja had approached Shisui without knowing when. Shisui directly knocked him away, and his arm was slightly scratched by the ninja just now. Poison. Shisui finally understood that the previous attacks were all foreshadowing for the ninja named Fruit Fly in front of him. Yasukani no Magatama swept away, causing a huge explosion in an instant. The place was instantly covered with smoke. When everyone reacted again, Shisui had disappeared. Don't chase him. He's been poisoned by the fruit fly. Unless Tsunade comes to rescue him personally, he's dead. Danzo looked at the root ninjas around him and couldn't help but feel distressed. He had trained these people with great difficulty, and now so many of them had been sacrificed in the encirclement and suppression of Shisui. They really underestimated him, but it was worth it. Shisui's Mangekyo ability was simply too powerful. At this time, Naruto, who had been hiding, also began to rush in another direction, but Uchiha Shisui did not get rid of his perception. Elsewhere, Uchiha Itachi had seen Shisui's secret code, which meant the old place. Itachi began to quickly rush to a place only he and Shisui knew. When Itachi arrived, Shisui was already waiting here. When Itachi saw Shisui's eyes, he was startled and said, "Brother Shisui. Are you okay?" "Itachi, I don't have much time. Listen to me, the conflict between Konoha and the family has reached an inevitable level. From now on, I will leave everything to you. I believe that if it is you, you should be able to resolve the conflict between the village and the family. Shisui directly dug out the remaining eye and handed it to me, Itachi. Oh, Itachi, be careful of Danzo. Shisui decided to do one last thing for the boy. If he wanted to achieve his goal, strength was essential. This was also the truth he felt in this battle. Then he fell towards the river behind him. Water stop. Itachi felt a darkness coming, and a feeling of extreme grief rose in his heart. The three magatama in his eyes suddenly turned into a dart shape. The great pain caused Itachi's Sharingan to begin to evolve, and a tear of blood dripped down Itachi's eyes. I will inherit yours. Itachi then took a deep look at the turbulent river. He also knew that Shisui's body could not be left behind. On the other side, Naruto was already waiting downstream. He successfully fished Shisui's body out through his modified water-style nuclear submarine. Now he has fallen into a coma, and the toxins are destroying his body. Jiu Lama. Help me save him, we need manpower if we want to change the world. Naruto hurriedly began to call the nine tails in his body. It's so noisy. You little brat. Please. Kurama. Naruto said again, feeling the sincerity in Naruto's tone. A force passed through Naruto's body to Shisui's body. Shisui's body instantly got better. This is only the young nine tails in Naruto's body, which has a very strong healing ability. In the original work, Might Guy who turned into charcoal was saved by Naruto. In fact, because of a part of the power of the six paths, the simple nine tails could not save Might Guy in that state. Now the power of the nine tails directly killed the poisonous insects in Shisui's body, and began to repair Shisui's body with the power of Yang. Thank you, Kurama. Naruto laughed. During this period, Kurama did not completely agree with him. In addition to not interfering with his training, he occasionally helped him recover his strength, making him energetic after training. The nine-tailed fox always denied that he was helping Naruto, saying that he was only helping Naruto to regain his freedom as soon as possible. Naruto promised to set the nine-tailed fox free in 10 years. For the tailed beasts, 10 years might pass in a nap. In fact, the nine-tailed fox had begun to waver. Chapter 26. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Well, where am I? I'm fine. Uchiha Shisui slowly opened his eyes, but they were empty, without any light. Suddenly he felt someone approaching, and he quickly became alert. With just a slight shake, his body began to ache. Although the nine tails helped to heal him, he had overdrawn too much before. Don't be afraid. I saved you. This is outside the village, don't worry, I'm not Danzo's man. A clear voice sounded, it sounded like a young man, but now he can't see. Who are you? As a ninja, Shisui would not trust Naruto so easily. Who am I? I am just an orphan, or a demon fox, Naruto said self-deprecatingly. When Naruto said he was a demon fox, the nine tails in the sealed space snorted. Orphan. Demon fox, Shisui murmured, and his mind began to recall the past. Suddenly, Shisui seemed to remember something, and said in horror, You are the Kyubi Jinchuriki. Uzumaki Naruto. How come you are here? Yes. I am the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto laughed at himself. He should have been called Namikaze Naruto and enjoyed the rights of a hero, but now, he is just a demon fox that everyone wants to kill, an orphan. But I am also Uzumaki Naruto, the son of the fourth Hokage. Naruto suddenly raised his voice. What? You are the son of the fourth Hokage. This time it was Shisui's turn to be shocked. The boy in the village who was called the demon fox was actually the son of the fourth Hokage. All this made Shisui feel absurd, and at the same time, a feeling of disbelief rose in his heart. How could the village do this? Uchiha Shisui. Do you really think that everyone in the village is really thinking about the village? Listening to Naruto's sarcastic question, Uchiha Shisui was also convinced. Yes, didn't he trust Danzo wrongly before? I know, but not all people are bad. I'm going to go back and report Danzo's evil deeds to the third Hokage. Shisui looked angry, ahem. But it caused severe discomfort. Now his body is still too weak and needs to rest. You are too naive. Do you really think there are any good people in Konoha's F4? Do you think the Sandai really doesn't know about Danzo's affairs? Naruto did not hide his contempt for the Sandai and others. Although Shisui didn't understand what Konoha's F4 was, he thought it should refer to the current high-level Konoha officials. When Naruto said this, Shisui was shocked and said, "This is impossible. The Sandai can't be in cahoots with Danzo." Shisui was still defending the Sandai. He didn't dare to believe what Naruto said. Also, the image of the Sandai was deeply rooted in his heart. He didn't dare to believe that the Sandai was the same person as Danzo. You are so childish, Shisui. Do you really think the third Hokage knows nothing? Is the third Hokage really as great as you say? I am the son of the fourth Hokage. Although the rumor that I am a demon fox was spread by Danzo, without the permission of the third generation, would these rumors really last long? And now, the rumor that I am a demon fox has been spreading for several years, and your so-called third generation has not come out to defend it. Do you know what kind of life I lived when I was a child? As the orphan of the fourth Hokage, I was thrown to the care of a nanny when I was a child. She pricked me with needles, I couldn't stand the very hot milk powder, and I was often beaten. I was still a baby at that time. There were also Umbu surveillance around me, but they didn't care. When I was 3 years old, I lived in the jungle of Konoha and hunted for food. I had to feed myself. No one in the village was willing to sell food to me. I was just a child. What did I do wrong? Naruto's roar echoed in Uchiha Shisui's mind, which made Shisui feel a little bit sorry. What kind of life did Naruto live when he was a child? As the orphan of the fourth Hokage, could the third Hokage have? Shisui didn't dare to think about it. This would make his faith in the third generation collapse. Naruto's voice continued, "Is your so-called will of fire really correct? Where the leaves of Konoha dance, the fire will never stop." Naruto did not talk about his own miserable situation, but talked about what Shisui had always insisted on. Naruto wanted to break Shisui's original beliefs, and then impose his own will and thoughts on Shisui. The third Hokage's will of fire was his own will of fire, not Konoha's will of fire. Didn't the will of fire say that we should protect the young sprouts of the village? Then why did you send young children to the battlefield again and again? You should know how old you were when you went to the battlefield. Naruto's words shook Shisui. He went to the battlefield when he was 6 years old. Yes, he had seen too many young children being sent to the battlefield. Why has no one ever thought of this? The third Hokage is known as the strongest Hokage, but he has never been on the battlefield. Think about it, how many times has he been on the battlefield since he became Hokage? How did he get the title of the strongest Hokage? Don't you see that each of these titles were earned through fighting? Naruto's voice was deafening. It stirred in Shisui's mind. Looking at the shaken Shisui, Naruto said again, "Konoha is the strongest, wasn't it earned by the predecessors? The 3 ninjas, Konoha White Fang, my father. Including your title. Which one of them was not earned on the battlefield? What did the third generation do? Look at the former glorious predecessors, who is left now?" Naruto's voice pierced into Shisui's heart like a sharp sword. Senior White Fang was famous, but he committed suicide because of a mission. Can ordinary villagers really understand a top-secret mission? Senior White Fang, the Hokage half-sleeve. What a great reputation. If he doesn't die, who will die? If he doesn't die, the Hokage will fall on him. How can Danzo and the third generation be willing to accept this? Naruto's words were full of sarcasm. Feeling the fleeting chakra fluctuations in the distance, Naruto raised a smile. Naruto continued, "Look, under the leadership of the third generation, Konoha has become so powerful. Senior Hyuga Hisashi also died a few years ago. Shisui has now adapted to Naruto's rhythm, but he still couldn't help twitching his mouth, but when he came to his senses, it seemed that Konoha was getting worse and worse under the leadership of the third generation. This further shattered his inner faith. Let's talk about the Senju clan, which was once as famous as the Uchiha clan. Think about it, is there anyone else in the Senju clan that you can remember the name of, except Tsunade-sama? That this made Shisui's heart tremble again, as if there was really no impression of the Senju clan in his memory. What on earth is going on? After the third Hokage took office, if it weren't for the support of grandmother Mito, he would never have been able to hold the position of Hokage. After grandmother Mito died, the third Hokage began to purge the Senju clan, sending them to the battlefield to die, and even tricked them into going to the test bench to reproduce the glory of wood release. These were all conspiracies just to reduce the power of the Senju clan. The Senju clan followed the last wish of the second Hokage, Senju Tobarama, and some of the clan members merged into Konoha. This was also the method that the second Hokage came up with to preserve the bloodline of the Senju clan. But who could have expected that he would have several filial sons and apprentices? Let's see how many civilians are talented. Would the talent of the Senju clan be concealed by integrating into the civilian population? Danzo helped a lot in this. It makes sense for Naruto to call Uzumaki Mito grandma. After all, his mother is the princess of the Uzumaki clan. Naruto gradually revealed the darkness of Konoha to Shisui, and the faith in Shisui's heart was shattered step by step. Chapter 27. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Naruto said slowly, revealing the darkness of Konoha step by step in front of Uchiha Shisui. Uchiha Shisui was silent. Is this the Konoha he wanted to protect? Naruto noticed the chakra fluctuations in the distance and rolled his eyes. This guy was really bad at hiding. If Shisui was not blind and was in a very weak state, he would have discovered the figure in the dark long ago, but this was intentional by Naruto. A white-haired ninja kid was shocked at this moment. He was still a little immature now, but he really underestimated Naruto's perception ability. The reason why Naruto chose to expose himself in front of Kakashi was to see what Kakashi would do after knowing the true darkness of Konoha, especially the matter of White Fang. Naruto was also gambling that Kakashi would not tell others about what happened this time. Even if he lost the bet, Naruto could just defect from Konoha directly. With the ability of the Nine Tails and his own strong earth escape ability, he could just drill hundreds of meters underground and escape from Konoha. After Naruto got the earth-style ninjutsu, he kept honing it. With the blessing of God's ability to work hard, Naruto developed the ability of earth-style submarine to a very abnormal degree. Naruto can not only expand the space of the submarine by strengthening chakra, but also consume chakra to speed up. Basically, no one can catch up with Naruto in earth style. Naruto continued slowly. This time he no longer talked about Konoha's problems, but asked about the ninja world. Shisui, what do you think of the ninja world? There are constant wars between each other, but do you know why the wars are constant? Are they really not afraid of death? Is it because of disputes? None of them. It's because of resources. The uneven distribution of resources has led to the signs of war pointing to Konoha. For example, the Kingdom of Wind is located in a desert area and lacks water resources. This is why he wants to go to war with foreign countries. It is not only to rob materials to feed the citizens of the Kingdom of Wind and the Sand Village, but also to consume the population and prevent more deaths. Isn't it ironic that some people die so that more people can live? Hearing this, Shisui's face changed, and Kakashi in the dark also looked very bad. He never thought that the war would break out like this. Isn't the war caused by hatred? Do you think the profession of ninja is important? Ninjas do not engage in production, but when war comes, who will suffer more? The civilians and the small ninja villages. What's wrong with the Rain Country? Several major ninja villages couldn't bear to have the battlefield on their own territory, so they put the battlefield in the Rain Country, just because the Rain Country is a small country, but the Rain Country has a Hanzo, otherwise the Rain Country might be destroyed. Do you think you are righteous? Is the Rain country evil? In their eyes, you are the invaders. Naruto was silent for a while and stopped talking. Uchiha Shisui was also silent, constantly thinking about everything Naruto said. No one had ever been able to analyze the ninja world so clearly. He seemed to know the world for the first time. He always thought that others were bad people and were invading his homeland. Now it seems that war is not so easy to define. For a while, he felt that the world was gray. Naruto saw that he had reached the right time and slowly said, "Do you want to change the world?" Naruto slowly said some of his thoughts from his previous life. Naruto clearly felt that Uchiha's spirit seemed to rise. If he still had eyes now, I'm afraid his two eyes would glow. Some of the ideas Naruto talked about shocked him and even challenged his three views, especially what Naruto said about the nobles are not the rulers of the world, but the people. The one country, one village system is not the most correct. The military and politics should be separated, and the state controls all rights. Why do ninjas have to engage in industries such as missions and battles? Why can't ninjas open mountains? Why can't they farm? Why can't water-style ninjas go to the kingdom of wind to create water? Why can't the big countries share what they have? People are selfish. What will happen if the whole world is unified into one empire? All people are the people of the empire. There will be no war if there is freedom. In the future, we can even gather hundreds of thousands of ninjas to change the terrain of each country, so that it can produce more food and make the roads smoother. These ideas of Naruto shone into Shisui's heart like a beam of light. Although I don't know what Naruto said about building roads first to get rich, after everything Naruto said, Uchiha Shisui felt that Naruto's method was the way to save the world. At this time, Uchiha Shisui remembered that Naruto was only 7 or 8 years old. Why did Naruto know these things? Naruto is indeed the savior sent by the world. In addition, Kakashi, who was hiding in the dark, was also shocked by what Naruto said, and his blood boiled. He began to look forward to the world that Naruto said. Then, he reacted and left here in a flash. On the way, Kakashi couldn't calm down for a long time. The death of his father, the darkness of Konoha, and the world described by his teacher's son. He used to be muddle-headed, but now he wants to find out the truth about his father's death himself. In his heart, the third generation can no longer be trusted. He wants to see this world for himself. Here, Uchiha Shisui slowly calmed down. He said in an ambiguous tone, "Naruto-kun. What do you need me to do?" He exhaled deeply. Uchiha Shisui knew that Naruto must want to subdue him, and he was indeed moved by everything Naruto said. He wanted to see the world Naruto talked about. What Naruto said is indeed a good way to achieve peace. Even the illusion world described by Uchiha Madara has people who believe in it and fight for it. Isn't everything Naruto said closer to reality? And Naruto has a correct ideological leader. A leader with him as the core. Welcome to the organization, Shisui-kun. I plan to set up an organization to help us change the world. I want to set up an umbrella organization and become the umbrella of the world. Shisui, I need you to go to the ninja world to gather talents, train talents, take in some orphans, and spread our ideas. You have to know that ninjas are not necessarily just tools for killing people. Ninjutsu has many uses as well. You can also launch projects in the ninja world and let the ninjas embark on another path. In addition, if you want to change the world, the so-called nobles must change, and if you want to successfully change the ninja world, necessary bloodshed is indispensable. Every drop of blood shed in the future will be a symbol of the Red Revolution. Shisui. You have a long way to go. Naruto pointed with his finger, and then he passed his views on training, the 6 styles, and Naruto's thoughts on the outline of thought into Shisui's mind. Naruto-kun. You will live up to everyone's expectations, Shisui said with great respect. Naruto-kun. You are in Konoha now, your safety is essential. This is my practice of the instant body technique. I will give it to you, as well as some ninjutsu. Shisui passed on his ninjutsu and training summary to Naruto through illusion. Shisui knew more ninjutsu than the previous ones, which made Naruto overjoyed. I suggest you go to Wave Country, where there are no ninja villages and it is more suitable for development. There is another talent I can introduce to you, Momochi Zabuza, and the apprentice of the land shadow of the land of Earth, who is a problem teenager, can also be absorbed. In addition, you should develop cautiously, remember that a cunning rabbit has 3 burrows, and don't show it in public. You can recruit some scientists. Although they are not ninjas, they can have a great impact. For example, increasing food production is a relatively important issue. Naruto said slowly, and the two of them set some secret codes, and then Naruto began to return to Konoha. Chapter 28. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Naruto went to class as usual, as if there was nothing different from usual, but the conflict between the village and Uchiha seemed to have intensified a bit. In addition, Naruto was surprised that he got a sealing technique from Shisui, which was a good thing. Naruto was still having a headache about the sealing technique before, because the sealing technique was knowledge that Naruto had never come into contact with. Fortunately, he found a sealing technique from Shisui's ninjutsu. The sealing technique is simply a panacea in Naruto. It has many uses and sometimes can even play an extraordinary role. The country of whirlpools was destroyed by several major countries because the sealing technique was too feared. Even Konoha was probably behind Danzo. In the original work, the country of whirlpools asked Konoha for help, but Konoha did not send a rescue. This may be because some people of the Uzumaki clan were unwilling to come to Konoha village. Later, they drifted in the ninja world. Nagato was a representative of this kind. The sealing technique that Naruto got from Shisui is called the seal of sealing objects. This is a sealing technique that can make storage scrolls, and it can also seal ninjutsu, but it is too troublesome. However, it is very useful, and is mostly used to make storage scrolls. Naruto was instantly very surprised. These days, Naruto no longer used the entity to go outside the village, but used the shadow clone to go there. There is still a sealing barrier around the village, but Uchiha Shisui was a member of the Umbu before, and he also knew how to enter and exit the barrier. It may be because they think Shisui is dead, Konoha did not change the barrier entry and exit method. It is very difficult to make a large barrier. These days, Uchiha Shisui is also constantly recovering from his injuries. During this period, he also constantly asked Naruto about the ideological program of their organization. After Naruto's brainwashing these days, Uchiha Shisui's desperate heart has turned to their recently established organization. Umbrella. Become the umbrella of the whole world. This is what Naruto told him. Umbrella will have the world's top talents in the future. A spark can start a prairie fire. For a few days, Naruto has been asking Shisui about the experience of practicing the sealing seal and Shisui's own instant body technique. These days, since Shisui can't see, Naruto specially developed a ninjutsu that can help Shisui. It is a perception ninjutsu that Naruto made with reference to the radar in his previous life. It was more due to the help of the ability of God rewards hard work, otherwise it would take a long time to study it with his own ability, but I don't know if it's because it's not a machine but humans who use it. The range is much smaller, and the detection is more accurate. Although it's not as good as his own Kagura's mind's eye, there is no chakra fluctuation at all, because it relies on ultrasound for detection. Thanks to this, Naruto also developed an infrasonic ninjutsu, which is similar to the sonic attack in the sound village established by Orochimaru. Naruto-kun. I'm really worried. You've entrusted me with such a great task. Can I do it well? That at this moment, Uchiha Shisui said with some worry. Shisui, you have to believe in yourself. In the future, there will be many like-minded people to help you. Some things require someone to carry the burden forward. Naruto kept encouraging, and at the same time he also had the idea of looking for a think tank. Shisui's wisdom is actually not bad, but he still lacks a sense of the overall situation and some ruthlessness. However, the current manpower is really scarce, and Naruto himself has not grown up yet. Now Naruto's strength is barely equivalent to that of a jonin. After all, he is still too young. Naruto also knows that the power of a person is small. Even if his strength is strong enough, he can't do everything by himself. This is not exhausting, which is why Orochimaru established the Sound Village. Speaking of Orochimaru, Naruto thinks Orochimaru is a very important character. Orochimaru's greatest strength is not his combat effectiveness, but his scientific research ability. At the same time, Orochimaru is a relatively versatile person. He is not bad in ninjutsu, taijutsu, and the like. He has scientific research ability and is also a commander. Abilities, Orochimaru has them all. He is truly an all-rounder. You have to know that Orochimaru does not have any cheats. If Orochimaru has his own cheat-like abilities, I don't know how far he can go. There is another person, who is also a talent that Naruto is optimistic about, that is Tsunade, but she must not be recruited at the moment, and he will make plans for this later. Naruto thinks that the best thing to do now is to recruit talents, accumulate food, and slowly become king. At this time, he must hide. If he is exposed in the open, Danzo, the third generation, the Akatsuki organization, and even the Black Zetsu in the dark will find him. It will be difficult to deal with by then. He does not have the ability to overturn the chessboard yet. Moreover, it is still early to the time of the original work, and Naruto is not in a hurry, and slowly begins to return to normal. Every day he teases Hinata, practices with Shaoli and Sasuke, and so on. On this day, Naruto teased Hinata's face as usual. Naruto-kun. Naruto found it very amusing to see Hinata being shy, and he liked this girl more and more. At this time, Iruka, who was on the podium, was getting more and more angry, because the classroom in front of him was full of smoke, and Inuzuka Kiba was still playing with his ninja dog. This year, he successfully got his own ninja dog, who was the descendant of the ninja dog of an elite jonin in the family. The growth cycle is estimated to be several years. He will grow up with his master and build up enough tacit understanding and feelings. Needless to say, his potential is at the jonin level. As for Shikamaru, he was sleeping. These questions were too simple for him. It would be more interesting for him to go home and play a game of shogi with the old man. Naruto was teasing Hinata, and Sasuke was still training in hand seals. As for Shino, is there such a person? Not to mention Shino, Iruka can't even remember him. These guys, just because they know the lessons, won't they listen to the class properly? Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, Nara Shikamaru, Akimichi Chuji, Inuzuka Kiba, Yamanaka Ino. Don't make trouble for me, all of you, stand outside. Yamanaka-san. Is the mirror good? Get out and stand, Iruka said angrily, his voice even echoing in the corridor. Several people looked at each other, then Naruto stood up, touched Hinata's head, and then walked out. Uchiha Sasuke followed closely behind. Shikamaru had sleepy eyes and looked listless, and Choji kept eating snacks in his hand, as if nothing was more important than eating snacks. When Naruto came out, he happened to meet Shaoli. Shaoli was stunned for a moment, and then greeted Naruto happily. Shaoli often asked for leave to go out for training because he became a disciple of Might Guy, and the reason was that Might Guy gave him special training. In fact, Shaoli went to their training ground to train, and then he would go to Might Guy to practice. The teacher of the ninja school was at most a chunin, so how could he go to Might Guy, an elite jonin, to ask if it was true? In the ninja world, the hierarchy between ninjas is also very strict, and the reason why Shaoli worked so hard, in his words, was that Naruto was so talented and still worked so hard. If you want to keep up with Naruto's pace, you must work harder. Shaoli's level of effort is not as good as Naruto. Chapter 29. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Naruto greeted Lee happily, and then walked forward with Lee, followed by Sasuke. The others were a little surprised. They didn't expect Naruto and his friends to skip class. Teacher Iruka told us to stand here. Ino showed a surprised look on her face, and Shikamaru squinted his eyes and looked at Naruto and Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke was very arrogant, but at this moment, they were walking beside each other, and Naruto was the leader. The boy in the ugly green tights next to them should be the third-year student, Rock Lee, who only knew physical skills. Shikamaru analyzed this information in a short time, worthy of being a member of the Nara family. Ino looked at Sasuke's figure, and suddenly a plan came to her mind. She suddenly ran between Naruto and Sasuke and said happily, Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun, Choji and the others are going to treat us to a barbecue, let's go together. that she looked at Naruto and Sasuke, and at this moment, she suddenly felt that Naruto, whom she had never noticed before, seemed to be very good-looking, but the beard on his face blocked Naruto's appearance, and Naruto's performance was not as dazzling as Sasuke, so most of her attention was focused on Sasuke. At this time, Naruto, because of sufficient nutritional supplements, was not only physically strong, but also mentally much better. At this moment, Ino was a little stunned. Ah! Ino! You like Sasuke-kun. But Naruto-kun is so handsome. For a moment, it seemed that there was a little man rolling in Ino's mind. Shikamaru listened to Ino's speech. Women are troublesome. He couldn't help but feel a headache when he thought about his wallet being empty. When Choji heard about eating barbecue, his eyes lit up instantly, and he kept muttering, eat barbecue, that it was obvious that Choji also liked eating barbecue, and he was also happy to ask his classmates to share the delicious barbecue. Naruto looked at the sincere Ino, and for some reason, he agreed. Okay, Naruto said to Lee and Sasuke, you have been too tense recently. Why don't you go out and have some fun? You should know that too much is as bad as too little. Naruto's words were mainly for Lee. Excessive practice might leave Lee with hidden injuries. Sometimes, relaxing your mood will make it easier to improve your practice, Naruto said to Ino meaningfully. Let's go, but maybe people don't welcome me very much. Ino was a little confused, but still invited a few people to go to the barbecue restaurant. After leaving the school, they soon came to a street. A few people crossed the street and soon saw the barbecue restaurant opposite. What accompanied them was the strange eyes of passers-by. Naruto smiled contemptuously, very disdainful. Lee and Sasuke's eyes became a little cold. Ino didn't notice anything unusual at all. His focus was not on passers-by. When several people were about to enter the barbecue restaurant, a voice suddenly stopped them. You can go in, but he can't. The one who spoke was a big man, who looked very strong, but was not a ninja. He was wearing chef's clothes and was obviously the owner of the place. Naruto had anticipated this matter, because in his previous experience, he knew that except for a few stores, other stores would not welcome him at all. There were only two stores. One was the store of a hand-fighting uncle that Naruto had a good impression of, and the other was a ninja tool store. This store belonged to Tenten, one of the 12 little strongmen of Konoha. Tenten's family was an outsider who moved in and finally settled in Konoha village. The family was not ninjas, but was in the ninja tool business, which allowed Tenten to develop a unique ninjutsu, the money-scattering technique. A wave of attacks can make the sand ninja feel distressed. Of course, the money-scattering technique was a joke, but in Naruto's impression, Tenten's ninjutsu Twin Dragons was to use ninja tools to cover the battlefield in order to achieve the purpose of lethality, and each attack would cost at least hundreds of thousands, so it was not wrong to call it the money-scattering technique. The big man pointed at Naruto, which made Ino very dissatisfied. Why can't he come in? He's my classmate. Looking at the little loli arguing, Naruto inexplicably felt that she was a little cute. Hee hee. Why? My shop doesn't welcome foxes. You can go in, but he can't, the middle-aged man said again, his tone full of coldness. Naruto has not changed at all. Such a place makes him have no nostalgia, and he will not show any mercy in the future. He is not the original Naruto who will repay kindness with grievances. The performance of these villagers made him more determined in his mind. How about we go for a picnic? Naruto-kun is a great cook. Shaoli suggested. At this time Ino could only leave with a few people unhappily, with unhappiness written all over her cute little face. A few words faintly reached their ears. Uncle Chinju, these kids are from a big family, you have to be careful. Little did they know that the man named Chinju in front of him said disdainfully, my store does not welcome little fox demons. You should know that my son died at the hands of the nine-tailed fox. He had a bright future and was saved by the fourth generation, who called him a good ninja. His bright future was ruined like this. How can I not be angry? Uncle Chinju is right, the little fox demon doesn't deserve to live in this world. If it weren't for the mercy of the third generation master, he would have been beaten to death long ago. Ha ha ha. The teasing voices kept coming from the barbecue restaurant. What kind of person is that? Ino said unhappily. Shikamaru was thinking about it. Naruto looked at the reactions of several people. Several friends were indignant, while Shikamaru lowered his head and didn't know what he was thinking. Did Shikamaru have any guesses? Looking at the smart boy in front of him, Naruto was thinking whether he should kidnap Shikamaru when leaving Konoha. Ahem, take him away. How can you kidnap a scholar? Shikamaru is very suitable to be a military advisor. Several people began to go to the wild. They did not go to their base, but went to another part of the forest. Naruto and the other two were busy throughout the process. Because of Naruto's cooking skills, the food was not worse than any food that Choji had ever eaten. Naruto. Come to me if you need anything in the future. Choji patted his chest and pretended to be righteous. Shikamaru rolled his eyes and said, "You are jealous of the food made by Naruto." However, Shikamaru was also surprised by Naruto's cooking skills, and seeing Naruto's skilled appearance, combined with the attitude of the villagers towards Naruto, Shikamaru also came to a shocking conclusion that Naruto had survived alone at a very young age. Combined with Sasuke's casual respectful attitude, Naruto was obviously not simple. Naruto kept inviting several people to eat barbecue, and the ingredients were produced by some wild plants in the woods that could be used as condiments. I had no idea that Shikamaru had thought of so much through a small piece of information. Otherwise, he might want to kidnap him and hand him over to Shisui now. A smart person like Shikamaru is very suitable for developing an organization. Chapter 30. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Rain legs, broken wind cutting. Naruto instantly jumped up more than 10 meters, kicking out dozens of arc-shaped crescent attacks, and the surrounding land was immediately cut into several deep gullies by the powerful attacks. At the same time, Naruto was floating in the sky. If someone saw it, they would be very surprised, because in the ninja world, flying ninjutsu and space ninjutsu are as rare as space ninjutsu. In fact, this is the effect of Naruto's moon step, not a ninjutsu. Naruto slowly landed on the ground, his palms on the ground, chakra surged, and the surrounding land instantly returned to its original state. This was Naruto's way to prevent anyone from discovering traces of his training. Naruto. You've become stronger again, Shaoli said with emotion, and at the same time, he had a desire to catch up. He had seen the power of physical skills on Naruto, which made him particularly yearning. Naruto's 6 styles can already develop his own moves, and Shaoli is still familiar with the practice of the 6 styles. The gap is not ordinary. However, Shaoli is not depressed, but more proud of Naruto. Shaoli, I am still far from being strong enough, Naruto said with a smile. In fact, Naruto was also very happy. His practice of the 6 styles was already very deep, and even the practice of ninjutsu had reached a very deep level. Just like the earth escape ninjutsu that Naruto had been practicing, Naruto had also developed it to a very deep level. Not only did the speed and power increase a lot, but even the hand seals became 2 seals, 1 starting seal and 1 ending seal. In the ninja world, the reason why ninjas need hand seals is that hand seals can help ninjas better release ninjutsu, and at the same time mobilize the flow of chakra to release ninjutsu. In fact, it is also possible not to make hand seals. To release ninjutsu, you need to have a higher understanding of ninjutsu and a more sophisticated control of chakra. Ninjutsu is like a program that is defined in advance, and the user activates the program by making hand seals, and chakra is the energy required for activation. Changing ninjutsu is equivalent to developing a program, which requires a deep understanding of ninjutsu. Developing a ninjutsu from scratch is equivalent to developing a program, and changing the form of ninjutsu is equivalent to adding modifications to the program. Similar to Sasuke's Chidori style in the original work, it was modified based on Kakashi's original program. Naruto, why do I feel like my storm leg training is always ineffective? Shaoli asked in a somewhat puzzled tone. Tell me, where do you feel problems when you are practicing? Naruto said to Shaoli. Shaoli also told Naruto about the problems he encountered. After listening to Shaoli's description, Naruto felt that he almost knew where Shaoli's problem was, so he said, when you are practicing, the storm kick must present a frequency process, so that you can successfully perform the storm kick. Naruto, there is also moon step, I always feel like there is something missing. Shaoli continued to ask. The celebrity smiled and said, in fact, your progress is also very good, but I suggest you practice shaving, storm kick and paper painting first, and then practice moon step after you have mastered these three. There are also iron blocks and finger guns. Finger guns can enhance your attack power, and iron blocks can enhance your defense power. However, you should practice shaving better, and use iron blocks as a supplement. After all, why resist if you can dodge? But you still need to practice iron blocks. After all, there will always be times when you can't dodge, and that's when the role of iron blocks will be reflected. Naruto kept telling Shaoli how to practice the 6 styles, and also told Shaoli some precautions. In the world of pirates, how many people died because they couldn't withstand the iron blocks, so Naruto naturally suggested to dodge if you can, but in the world of Naruto, ninjas generally have high attacks and low defenses, and even have some strange ninjutsu and illusions. If you can't dodge, then the role of iron blocks will be reflected. That's all for today. Don't you still want to practice physical skills with Might Guy? Naruto said slowly. Might Guy is the master of Konoha Steel Fist style. Generally speaking, it has its merits, but he doesn't pay much attention to the maintenance of his body. In his old age, he will probably be dragged down by hidden injuries. However, in the world of ninjas where human life is worthless, who cares about hidden injuries? It's not certain whether he can live to that time. Might Guy should have some methods to prevent hidden injuries, but they must be very simple. Okay. That's all for today, Shaoli said a little disappointed, but he still walked towards the distance. After being influenced by Naruto, Shaoli now has mastered Naruto's way of life. Shaoli now only uses 1/3 of his strength at most in the hands of Might Guy, and only 1/4 of his strength in school, and Shaoli's real strength now has surpassed a large part of the genin. Shaoli is now nearly 9 years old, and Naruto is nearly 8 years old. After Shaoli left, Naruto showed a thoughtful expression. Shisui has established a base in the Land of Waves, but it is still secret, and has also found some rebel ninjas to join the organization, but they are only peripheral members, and they are not. And under the guidance of Naruto, Shisui also recruited some civilians. Although civilians have no combat power, they can sometimes play a big role. After all, a single spark can start a prairie fire. The ninja world is not full of ninjas, but more of them are civilians. The Land of Waves is also a country without a daimyo, which makes it easier for Shisui to spread his ideas here. As for Zabuza, Shisui is still looking for him. Although he didn't find Zabuza, he got an unexpected news. It seems that a coup has happened in the Hidden Mist village in the Land of Water recently, and the Mizukage has become a woman. At the same time, the Blood Mist era of the Hidden Mist village has ended. Shisui searched around the Land of Water and found some news about Zabuza. The Land of Water. What a tragic country. Shisui witnessed many tragedies on the way. The life of the people of the Land of Water is far inferior to that of the Land of Fire. This made Shisui more determined to bring the civilians of the Land of Water into the umbrella of protection, and let the glory of the umbrella shine on the world. Shisui kept roaming in the villages around the Land of Water. He didn't know when his surroundings were covered with snow. He didn't care about the snow. What he cared about was the faces of the people of the Land of Water without any expression. In Naruto's words, it was numbness. His vision and pattern have transcended the country and the village. In his opinion, the people of every country will be a member of the umbrella in the future. Make every citizen happy. This is the goal that the umbrella strives for. Help Naruto become the direct master. Only the world under Naruto's dominance is happy and correct. This has penetrated into Shisui's heart, and he also portrayed Naruto as a spiritual leader. In fact, Naruto really became the spiritual leader in Shisui's heart. Shisui walked on the road, looking at the numb expressions of the people around him, and his heart ached. At this time, a voice came into Shisui's ears. Big brother. Your eyes are different from mine, there is light in your eyes. Shisui turned around and saw a little girl squatting on the ground, wearing thin clothes and even without shoes. She was huddled together because of the cold. Shisui was stunned and said, "Would you like to go with me? There is hope in our place." There is light for everyone in our place.